So, Siobhan, we also have a lot of tension between Russia and the United States. There's some of it's over Syria. There's this bizarre thing with the spy and the wigs and all that. It's like watching Get Smart for people who remember that. So, is there something to worry about here, or is this just more of the same?
Well, the U.S.-Russia relationship is at a really interesting point. I mean, we've seen sort of mounting distrust, and especially in Russia, we don't see it on the U.S. side as much. There's been sort of this growing anti-American campaign with the Russian state TV has had with the public there. And so we're seeing this kind of toggling back and forth between sort of some willingness on the part of Russia to work with the U.S. on various things. I mean, the big news this week was that they, Secretary of State Kerry was over there and got his counterpart to agree to have a conference to try to discuss some sort of negotiated political settlement in Syria. At the same time, we're watching Russia ship, large quantities of weapons over to Syria because their big fear is that eventually NATO or the U.S. or some combination of international partners will go in and have a repeat of Libya. And so you're seeing a lot of back and forth on Syria, and then you've got this odd backdrop with the alleged spy who was picked up this week. And you also have the backdrop of continuing sort of tensions and cooperation over investigating the Boston bombing suspect.
Was the spy case an example of them just picking a guy up and poking the United States in the eye because they were unhappy about something, or because it seems like we have spies there and they have spies here? Or was it something where there was really an issue with this guy?
Yeah, it seems like from the U.S. officials I've spoken with, they see this as sort of the equivalent of a spy skirmish, something that happens from time to time. It's not desirable, but it also doesn't tend to have major ramifications. But the interesting thing was that Russia decided to make it public, and from the folks I've spoken with on the U.S. side, they seem to see it as mainly something tailored again for the Russian audience, almost of a piece with this kind of anti-American campaign that's been going on, where the Russian security services want to say, we still have it in us to push back a little bit.
They seem to be saying our spies aren't very good. You see the
not very impressive at all. I mean, for anyone who watches The Americans, they've got better stuff back in the 80s.
I'm surprised they didn't have a big red, fuzzy wig.
Or red nose or something.
Can you tell me where we are generally with the U.S.-Russian relations? Because it seemed like they were in a better place at the beginning of Obama's term. I remember there was images of the president was at a restaurant with Medvedev, and they were eating hamburgers together, and they had their suit jackets off. They seemed like pals. Where are we in the whole reset?
Well, that was the first reset, right? And I think that now we're having discussion of a second reset, and I don't know how that ends up looking so different from the first one. But
resetting the reset.
We're resetting the reset, and so I don't know if that makes it twice as good, but it does seem that there is a desire on the part of both countries to tone it down a little bit and try to find some common approaches to things, especially in places like Syria.
So what is the next step on Syria?
Well, they're going to have this conference in June, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, what's difficult about it is that you don't really see a lot of signs of any willingness on the part of Assad to actually step down. And so the desired outcome from the U.S. side of having some sort of negotiation where Assad steps down doesn't seem very likely unless, there's some dynamic that really changes significantly.
Is the conference a way for him to just buy some time, get everybody focused on something a couple months down the road while he's fighting his war at home?
Assad.
For Assad?
Assad, yeah, and the Russians for that matter.
It could be a way for the Russians to buy time. I mean, it's not that much time because it's the beginning of next month. But Assad certainly is in the game of buying time right now. But I think that the concern from the U.S. side is that the Russians are continuing to send over large quantities of missiles and things like that would make something like creating a no-fly zone very, very difficult down the line.